What is God? That's the biggest question. What is God? You know, is God a man? Is God a spirit? Is God alien? Is God the universe? What is God? No one has a clear idea what God is. God is one of the biggest mysteries we all face in our minds when we think about God. My whole life has been wrapped around what is God? What actually is God? Is God the energy force around me? Is God? What exactly is God? Is there a God? You know, is God just a part of my thinking? Is God thinking of another person? Is it all collectively? Is it going by what everybody thinks? What is God? Does God, even in the midst of what everybody thinks, can this individual spirit entity, whatever the case, be everything that everybody thinks it is? Now that's the biggest question. What is God? You know, because so many people want you to follow God. You know, they want you to run your life, live by it. And the weirdest thing about it is, if you're doing what you think is right, is that God? You know, these questions is like the shit that plagues me, because so many people have this opinion. You know, is God an opinion? Is God an idea? You know, is God just there and he's not really thinking about none of the shit that you think about? You know, if he's real, you know. I mean, I'm an atheist. When I say I'm an atheist, it just means I don't believe in Christianity. I don't believe in Islam and shit. It's just too far. You know, it's just basically another person's ideas. You know, someone can start a new religion in 5 minutes, and all of a sudden they can say this is God, and depending on how popular that idea is, that becomes God. But is that really God? You know, I listen to a whole lot of people that really want you to feel well and tell you about their feelings, their beliefs, and how comfortable they are with their God and how God changed their life and things of that nature. But what is God? You know, I mean, I don't know. You know, I can't even begin to tell you. Like I said before, I'm an atheist. So I'm sitting back and I'm thinking to myself, all these different people have these different ideas of what God is, and they want you to take their platform and run your entire life by it. And automatically you do that anyway. Each and every day you do this based on your own ideas and your own feelings. Does that become God? What is God? God is the deepest point of where you say, this is my higher self or my subconscious. What is God? You know, I sit back, I think about this shit every day, every minute, and I'm an atheist, so in my head, I'm like, I'm listening to these people. I got so many different people every day that has an opinion on what God is. If it's not my homeboy that's a Muslim or people in my family, that's what God wants you to do. I'm like, well, that's what God wants me to do. Is that what you want me to do? And these opinions become so vast, they're just ideas, strong beliefs that people have that's based on how they live in their life and what's working for them. You know, if I thought that if I wore a little Jewish hat, I don't even know what you call them, put them on my head and it would change my life and stop eating pork, some things would probably change in my life, or something might change. But is that really God? You can go back thousands and thousands of years, and maybe it just was one of those things where everybody had their own idea of what God was, and then someone made one popular idea, and it became God. You know, as soon as someone decided to write something and put it down on paper and they established as law, then it became God, you know, because a popular person or a popular situation decided that this particular idea was going to become God. You know, I don't know exactly what you could call God. You know, if I was, I guess, sitting somewhere 20,000 years ago and someone showed up in a spaceship and told me they were God, maybe I would be like, okay, I believe you, you know. Or you were the king and you ran the entire land and you was like, these are my laws, okay? Maybe you God. I can't eat, I can't fish, I can't hunt, or whatever the case is, and I gotta go and abide by what you say, then you become God. But does that make that God to live forever? You know, you know, what is God? Is God just an idea? You know, I mean, just how deep is this thing? You know, it's a collective of what people think is right. A bunch of ideas don't make anything right. It's just choices that you make. You know, it's a lot of things that people do that they say is the devil. You know, but what is the devil? Is it every evil act? You know, or depending on how crude the act is, you know, is God just a judgment? You know, is God the judgment that, you know, that comes by a bad situation where you make a bad decision? Or what is God? What is the devil? What is these things? Someone say, well, read your Bible, read your Quran, you know, but all of that's flawed, you know. If you tell me God is perfect, he's all-knowing, you know, he wouldn't speak through an imperfect being, because people have flaws. People have things with them where they're still trying to figure things out. How could you, individual, anywhere on this planet, was trying to figure out something, have the true idea of what God is, regardless of who you are, how much money you have, you know, what you've done in life? The whole purpose of you living is to make mistakes and have bad ideas and realize and go back and fix them. But that doesn't necessarily make you God, because if you tell me God is all perfect and all-knowing, then you would know the first time around, and it wouldn't be no guessing, it wouldn't be no trying to figure things out. You know, automatically everything you touch would turn to gold. You know, I'm basically in my life where I'm tired of flawed people trying to tell me who God is when they're just trying to figure it out just like I am. And I ain't even trying to figure out God. I'm just trying to figure out how to be happy the next day. You know, how to get my money straight, how to be nice to my woman, how to, you know, be nice to my mom, or, you know, what's the right thing to do as far as, you know, picking my next trade on stocks, or where I should go, you know, where I should transfer to, you know. And you say, well, seek God, you know, and the only person I'm seeking, actually, when I say I'm seeking God, is I'm seeking myself. I'm sitting down here trying to come up with ideas and see what works out best for me, or what's going on, you know. There's so many things sometimes I think people say out of their mouth, you know, and they don't really know what they're saying when someone is really trying to put together something to make it work in your mind. And you have people coming up with all of these flawed ideas that you can look at them and tell that the shit that they're coming up with ain't working in their damn life. You know, I see people who will be a part of something, but they're just going with a bunch of people who make them feel comfortable with the ideas that they've already accepted. And I'm kind of a loner. So by me being a loner, I'm like, sitting back thinking to myself, a lot of times, look, I ain't gonna fit in the Muslim crew because I'm gonna have me. I'm gonna eat what I want. That is healthy. Not necessarily I'm gonna eat what you want me to eat, but I'm gonna eat what I consider to be healthy. I'm gonna do things at my pace. So, the moment I'm not doing something according to the way that you feel, at my own pace, which if there is a God, he should understand that I have to move according to my pace. You want me to do things in your order, then I become a problem. If I don't cut my hair, if, I don't get up and worship the day that you want me to worship, when does this all stop? When do this becomes an end where I can actually reach the point where I'm perfected? It just seems like, there's no perfection in life regardless of what you do in life, because there's no point of having perfection. The thing of being a human being is there's always growth. So if you're going to grow, you know, and you're supposed to make mistakes, you're supposed to do things differently. You're supposed to have a path, where in your head where you're working shit out. I can see if you're not trying to work out shit. I can see if you're in the gutter, whatever the case is, and your mind ain't working right or whatever the case is, and you're doing some shit that probably you already know is fucked up. But that's not necessarily saying, that there's a God, because someone is fucked up. People will just make bad choices, and one little bad idea can set someone off, where they're sitting around and because they can't figure shit out. The little smallest thing, sometimes I watch people and sometimes they change and they get and they follow and they do things that other people do, but it's not really the religion or God that's helping them out. It's just the fact that they've set themselves on a course and they decided that they don't want to be in that spot anymore, and they're trying to get information on how to get out. I've lived in what people would call urban or the hood all my life. I've seen people get off crack. I've seen people, stop drinking, stop smoking, all different types of things, even weight loss. But those things were things that were going on in people's minds since the time that they realized they were in a dark place. And it wasn't really God that had brought them through it. It was just the fact that they knew they were, excuse my expression, fucked up. So if you fucked up and you got to get out of a bad situation, you start working on it mentally. And that's the process. That's not necessarily, if you want to call it God, but that's not necessarily God in my ideas. That's just you thinking. You realize you're in a bad situation. You realize you out. You realize you want to be in a better situation. So you start processing something. I don't care if it's a 12-step program or whatever the case is. The first step is you realizing you don't want to be there. So regardless of whether or not you pick up a bow tie, a Bible, a Quran, or whatever the case is, that shit is on you. It ain't necessarily mean that it's God that's leading you. It just means that you made a choice of something different that you're going to do to move forward. I'm a loner. I ain't going to nobody's church. I'm not going to watch no Disney movie other than maybe the Avengers or something. I'm just being honest. I'm not going to be one of those people that's just going to be cool with everything that you say. I'm not going to buy into every idea, because when I think about it, one of the best things I feel like I follow sometimes is just the fact that I actually like the 5%ers, or what you call the gods of the earth, calling themselves gods, which means they come up and they do whatever the hell they want to do, and they seem to just live their life. They got their little pointers and shit that, like all religions do, where the whole not eating pork and shit, but some of them still smoke weed. I don't know, some of the ones I know, but they still live their life and they just have principles and shit. But that main idea of you being God seems more real than, you sitting up saying that something in the sky is God, or something that you can't see that's always around you is God. I don't say that there's not a spirit world, because I do believe in energy, and some things are, you get into where you say, well, there's something beyond what you see. But when you think about it, if it's something that you can't see, something that's on the other side, how many people are actually in touch with that? They go to church every day. They go to the mosque every day. They just guessing. They have no fucking idea what's on the other side. If it's somebody that knows what's on the other side, it's probably some people off in Area 51 or some government facility who ain't tapped into that shit. And guess what? They ain't telling your ass. So, all this shit that you sit back and you have people telling you, but you bet not do. It's all a gamble. You gamble every day with your life, with your decision making. You make good ideas, you make bad ideas, and then you have to come up with a choice on what you're going to do. But it still doesn't make it God, and it doesn't make the devil either. It's just choices. You might have principles, you might even have a code, but just because you have principles and a code doesn't make it God. It's just things that you choose to live by.